I'm Adam House and I'm a fraud. Thank you so much for joining me in this. Let's call it what it is. It's a bonus episode to the podcast, Fraud. Now, the podcast so far and in general is me interviewing people that I think are amazing about whether they've ever felt like a fraud and if so, how they've got past it. And I thought it might be did I think it'd be interesting? Well, there are no guests. Let me start by saying that in this episode. I wanted to put something out there which gave thanks to the people that have helped me put this podcast together, from conception to execution. Seems needlessly violent a word, but you know what it is. So if that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, if you don't want to know why this hairy man came up with a podcast that he wanted to start and was lucky enough to get amazing guests to talk to him, then skip, move on. I mean, there's one thing we know, there is a sarcastic amount of podcasts out there. So no doubt there's others that will take your fancy. There's a lot of hairy white men talking into microphones. So yeah, choose your particular flavour of tea for today. But for those of you that are interested in hearing a bit more about what led me here and what gave me the confidence seems too strong a word, but the emphasis to do this, then I wanted to take a few minutes to do it in my own rambly way. Okay, so starting, as I said in my introduction video podcast a while ago, I started this because genuinely I feel like the fear of being a fraud has stopped me from potentially doing things that otherwise I might have done in the past. It's definitely been debilitating in the past. And I kind of separated that into two categories. There's the first category, which for the longest time I kept my life and my career separate, and I didn't see how to connect them together authentically. For a long, long time, I was wearing a work mask versus a real life closer to being me. And it's taken me a few years to combine the two. And that's still an ongoing journey. I'm still working through that at the moment, but this is a huge step towards that. So why now? Well, about just coming up to, I would say 18 months, 2 years ago, I met someone. This is the first thanks to the video, someone called Kim Randers. Now, Kim has challenged my perspective, and he's very good at challenging perspectives and getting you to think deeper about things. And he definitely did that for me because he did ask, what was it that I kind of wanted to give to the world in the development space outside of what my current role was. I'm lucky enough to have a lot of experience in leadership specifically, but in development more generally. What was it that I was looking to do? You know, what else? Was there something else out there? Is there a book in me? Were there blogs in me? Was I getting involved in some other aspect? And it brought a lot of the fears that I had in there around not wanting to become a fraud, not wanting to be one of these people that, I mean, in January, it's the worst time for it. You see on any sort of social media platform telling you that, you know, the way to conquer empires is to eat liver and get up 5 minutes earlier. Just stuff with absolutely no data behind it, said by, sadly, people that look a lot like me a lot of the time. So I did start genuinely thinking, what is it that I think I'd like to do that would be curious, that would help me start to kind of get some ideas together on what it is I might be able to put into the world to support and help others. Which kind of led me down this role. I knew that I'd done podcasts in the past with a few different people talking about stuff in life, stuff I'm interested in life. So I knew that I'd want to do that, but how to do that with work and how to still make it authentic. And that's what started bubbling up in my head around, well, let's actually talk about the thing that stopped me doing the thing that I want to do. Like a picture by Escher. It's getting confusing, isn't it? Jump to the end. Fraud came into my head, feeling like a fraud. And I wondered if people would then want to talk to me about it, especially people that I thought were doing amazing stuff. So that led me to starting this. That was the first big push, was let's do this. Now, secondly, one of the reasons I think that I'm able to authentically talk to people about me feeling like a fraud, and being open and vulnerable about it, is because I am working for a company that really supports you wanting to achieve your goals. I've got something called Vision Goals where I work currently at Service Express, and they really take them seriously. Personal, professional, financial goals. What is it that you want to achieve inside and outside of work, and how can we support? And that leads me on to my second big thanks, because this was a completely alien concept to me. It isn't something that had been the fabric of anywhere that I'd worked previously to Service Express, and certainly hadn't been something with this much emphasis put into it from the top down. The vision goals are a huge part of the culture of Service Express. So when I started reporting into my current boss, Kim Allberg, another Kim, we've got a lot of Kims here, and we started talking about my vision goals, it took me a while to really be open and honest about it. And this podcast was one of those that I wanted to do it, and I put it down on there. And I cannot tell you the level of support that Kim has given me, despite the fact that in the face of it, this has no impact on the day-to-day KPIs of the business that I work in. It is a support of something that is important to me outside in the real world, and she has been there every step of the way. So thank you very much, Kim. From listening to episodes before releasing them, giving feedback on what she thinks about them, things to think about, things to try. She's been nothing but support the whole way through, and I genuinely don't think I would have got round to releasing this, having the interviews, without that kind of support and checking in along the way. So, I mean, you can hear you're 42% more likely to achieve a goal just by writing it down. Is a very famous number out there around goal achievement, but genuinely in this case, writing it down and having a leader that supported it and asked about it and been there to help in any way has been really positive, and I don't think I would have released this otherwise. Next, the other side of it, the technical side of it. So, well, actually, before I get to the technical side of it, let me talk firstly about the 5 guests I've had this first series / season. David, Alicia, Amber, Helen, Adam. I cannot tell you how difficult it is for my dyslexic head to hold on to names. So that really was a strain to remember all 5 of your names, but I'll never forget a lot of the lessons that you've taught. The fact that any of you have given up your time for me, somebody that you hadn't met before or briefly met before, I can't tell you how appreciative I am of you giving the time, and also giving the time for a subject that is, not necessarily the easiest. Being asked if you're a fraud on a podcast is, I would say, kind of a tough question for people to ask. And these are people that, they're parts of businesses where they've got to interact with lots of people. And this is quite a vulnerable subject. So thank you so much for all of my guests and any future guests that we get. Also, thank you because with all of you have interacted with me, with one another, wonderfully. And I know that I've received emails from Helen and David suggesting things and connecting me with people for the future of the podcast, and that's really amazing. So yeah, I appreciate that. Technically, as 2 people that I need to thank. One of them has done some work for me, and her name is Meg. She created the fraud beginning and end bits with the crackling and all the words coming out. She has designed a few things for me over the years, and I just think she's absolutely incredible. I can say 2 words to her and she goes out and just creates something that I think is impactful and wonderful. So yeah, that's brilliant. And, I know she's getting busier and busier, so I'm hoping she's still about to help me in the future. The other person is Josh. Now, Josh messaged me after the first episode and said, I think it's great, which is always lovely to hear, and said, if you want me to just help with the volume of the future episodes, and feel free to send them through and I'll see what I can do. And I was blown away. He's got a full-time job that isn't in this world, and he was just offering to help as a mate. And I said, that's fantastic. I'll send him over to you. And then I got busy and didn't send a single episode over to him. But I still really appreciate that he was willing to give up his time, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to cash that chip in for Series 2. So lastly, the last person that I think I need to thank, I have written names down, so I just want to make sure I've got everybody. Yeah. So the last person I want to thank, I guess it's a pretty obvious one. This is the award show one, but it is the most important one, and I genuinely mean that. The truth of the matter is that I wouldn't be doing any of this. I'm not even sure I'd be working in development. I say it to her all the time, but she never, ever believes me. And I truly believe that I would probably be sleeping under a bridge somewhere, running away from credit card debt and who knows who else, if it wasn't for the fact that I met my partner Tilly just over 13 years ago. And we've been together ever since. And she was the first person to really make me believe I was a real boy, by which I mean give me any sort of confidence to actually go for stuff that I wanted to go for. She has made me kind of discover who I really am, and that's a huge part of this. So if you absolutely despise me, then I would say she's got at least 20-30% of the blame, and vice versa. If you like me, then she's got a good 90-95% of the blame, because I was a very different person when we first met, and she's helped me every step of the way, and given me the confidence to do this. So all of those people together, that's my cat meowing in the background because I haven't thanked him, have brought me to a place where I've been able to interview some amazing people, have some amazing conversations, and actually get to a point where I feel good about something I put out in the world. I feel like it's authentic. I feel like it will help people that have dealt with fraud in the past, and I hope people get to listen to it. So yeah, I just wanted to spend 10 minutes or so. It's saying 12 minutes and 47 seconds at the moment at the top. Maybe I'll edit that down if I can. Cut out a couple of ums and ahs. But yeah, I really appreciate it. I suppose the last real thanks is to you. If you're listening to this right now, thank you so much. It takes a lot of time to invest into a podcast, especially a new one with somebody that potentially you've never heard of before, and I really appreciate that time. Season 2/Series 2, depending what side of the Atlantic you're from, is bubbling in my mind. There's a couple of ideas. It may still focus on fraud. It's also something else that is constantly in my head that I feel needs tackling and discussing further. So maybe that will be it. If you have anybody that you think might be up for being a guest, might be interested in being a guest, then please let me know. Also, I always post these on LinkedIn as well as YouTube, and it would be wonderful to know if you have listened, have you got anything from it? And if so, what and where? Who said something that chimed with you or made you think differently about it? If you want to be really vulnerable on LinkedIn, then it'd be wonderful to hear when you felt like a fraud. And if you have been able to get past it, how? Or if you haven't, what's stopping you? All of these things would be great. I love a conversation, be it written, voice note, over a video, whatever it is. So it'd be great to hear from all of you. But for now, my name is still Adam House. I am still a fraud, and I'll speak to you all soon.